Welcome to Talk with Olena podcast. And today with me, I have Barbara Kolvekova. Barbara, hi, how are you doing today?
I'm so good. How are you today, Elena?
Good, good, good. Okay, so today we're talking about the topic that I think has been on my mind for a very long time because what I've noticed happens a lot in our industry is that people a lot of times are very good at marketing, but then they drop the ball in delivery, meaning like case work, not because they don't know how to do things or they're incompetent, but just because the industry we're in is like really very tough industry. Every case is different, especially right now. Things are getting more complicated with immigration cases. So I see that happening a lot. Now, on the flip side, I see happening the other way around when the person is not good with marketing and they don't really have any presence and they're struggling on that side, but they're very, very good with delivery. Now, the reality is that the kind of secret sauce to any immigration business is that if you just deliver what you market, then your business will explode, right? You have to kind of have both. You have to have all of the business strategies and all the marketing and, sales down, but also you have to kind of be good at your job. And this is what we're talking about
Kind
today.
of.
Yes, like
Maybe yes. Yeah.
maybe because honestly, full transparency, in the last 2 months, I had like two wake up calls. So, number one, well, we were hiring, we already hired for case processor, legal assistant. So I did 21 interviews, and in every single interview, I asked a question: why are you leaving your current job? So all of those people, 21 legal assistants, currently working for either lawyers or RCICs. And majority, like I mean 9 out of 10 people, the response was that because I'm not agreeing with the level of service that RCIC is providing to clients. And it just puts me in a position when I feel so bad as a case processor for the clients. And RCIC is just dropping the ball. And I'm like, I feel so bad because I know it's not because our CSCs or immigration lawyers want that to happen, right? I know that a lot of times is because maybe they don't even have access to the support that they need to make the delivery, the case processing better for the clients and for everyone, right? For the team. So that was like one thing. And another thing is that I'm not sure why, but in the last 2 months, we've had a lot of clients coming to us, jumping the ship from another immigration consultancy to ours, and I never like to see it. And I always try to recommend, like, first go to your RCIC and or immigration lawyer and like try to make things better, right? But I just see that. So what I'm trying to say really is that you cannot make business work, you cannot make money, you cannot have thriving business if you don't know what you actually do. And I mean like actual, like, express entry, how to file a case, right? Or
Mhm.
spousal sponsorship, how to actually put the documents together, what is going to be approved, what is eligible, what is not eligible, how to do express entry profile. And that's super important. And that's where we had with you conversation back in March. And I said, like, somebody has to provide this support to RCSCs because I feel like we really need that, like myself included, right? Because like I deal only with express entry spousal sponsorships. That's it. Other case types, I might not know much about them, right? So if I decide to undertake LMIA right now, I will not know what I'm doing and I may need a support from somebody, right? So that's what we're here talking about today. So tell me a little bit first about like your experience, like who is Barbara and how you ended up actually helping RCICs, immigration lawyers, in understanding how to file their cases properly.
Yeah. So, background on me in like the very beginning, if we go back like 12 years, I was a legal assistant for 2 years before I started the program to become an RCIC. And so I had the experience of already working on files and prepping files, and then did the education piece and the entry exam we all need to. I became licensed. And I could truly see that if I had only done the education piece, I would have graduated and been licensed as an RCIC knowing absolutely nothing how to actually fill out any of the government forms, how to create any kind of legal strategy, because you very much like when you studied study permits, you studied study permits, right? And then it was like, okay, next topic. So when you're consulting with someone, you have a client come in for an hour, you need to think about like 80 different types of programs and filter through and all these different scenarios. And then all of a sudden they hit you with, also, I have this, right? They're throwing throwing things at you. So developing legal strategy was definitely not something I would have had if I only did the education piece. And actually preparing and submitting applications was something I would not have had if I didn't have the legal training before. So I think there is like a huge disconnect. People like graduate, and I see it on LinkedIn. They post, you probably see them too, like, oh my God, I graduated. I'm a fully licensed RCIC, like amazing. It's like, okay, but do you actually know how to submit a file? And most of the time you're starting out, you're on your own, right? You don't have the funds to hire an assistant or things, like you don't have any clients yet. And all of a sudden you're expected to just prep and submit applications. So right now in the industry, you can co-counsel, which is wonderful, but it's kind of that. It's kind of like alone or co-counsel. So what I started offering was on-demand, one-on-one coaching consulting sessions with RCICs or immigration lawyers who need that kind of in-between support, essentially bridging the gap.
Yes,
And
so
yeah.
sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to add about co-counseling that I totally understand that co-counseling can be great and there is a place and time for co-counseling. And of course, the split in terms of how you split the retainer with a co-counsel matters a lot because it needs to make sense for both. But I personally, to my personal preference, I'm not a fan 100% of co-counseling. It's just a personal preference because I like to always be like independent, in control. So I like actually the model when you can just book one session. I get what I want. I get all my answers. I get all of my things checked and everything is done. And then that's it. And I'm still like in a full kind of control of the file. And I don't have like legally that obligation shared with another co-counsel because I feel like for, again, it's a preference. Co-counseling is great for sure. It's just when you don't need like that level of involvement of another person, you just need one session, then you don't really like, there's no need for co-counseling, right? You just need one session or maybe two sessions, right? So that's that kind of in between like doing it alone and actually like sharing the retainer agreement with a co-counsel.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And it could be that, especially say you did your first express entry file ever and you decided to co-counsel, that's great. But what if it was like a very straightforward case with like no nuances, no like nothing tricky or strange about it. And then you thought, perfect, I can do express entry, you get another client and they have like 8 weird things about their file. And you're like, oh, this was not covered last time. So you didn't actually learn how to cover that with co-counsel because they just do the one file with you. You have the like basics, the foundation of express entry, but you're like, I need to like talk this out with someone and have someone look at, this is what I'm thinking. Is this right? Is there anything else you would recommend? These conversations as well, when I did work at a firm that had a team, we had them constantly, like all day, every day. We were chatting about strategy for our clients. And so if you're solo, especially if you're like work from home solo and you don't see another human for like 8 hours a day, it's super tough. And yeah, you can like talk to like AI, but that's not it. That doesn't feel good. They can be like, good job, you're doing so good, but they're not actual legal professionals who've had experience with a bunch of cases who can be like, how about this? How about that? So it's really bridging the gap. It's very flexible. And yeah, so far it's been really great. The feedback where people are like, oh my gosh, we needed this. Like, why isn't anyone offering this yet? So it's been pretty fun to open it up and sort of explore it because I think there is a big need for it. There's a lot of loneliness in the industry with RCICs and lawyers, and just showing that, you're not alone. We all needed help. I didn't just wake up and become a consultant and was like perfect from day one. I had like just a whole team and network and connections. I've seen so many files, and that's where I got to my level of expertise where I can look at a file and give guidance on it.
Exactly, yes. And you mentioned about your previous workplace where you guys chatted all the time. And that's how I feel with Corey, my husband, who works as RCIC for us. He asks me questions like every day. And I don't mean like questions that come out of competence, as you said. It's questions that are legitimately like need to be asked. Like you need to brainstorm it with somebody. You need to get somebody's opinion on what's the possible options here. How should I communicate it to the client? Should I should I point into this in a letter of explanation, or should I just submit it as is, right? Like all of these like more strategic questions. And we have these conversations every day with him. And honestly, like sometimes I don't even know how would you survive alone, because if we didn't live in the same house and you had to do it alone, like it would have been so much harder. Sometimes I'm like, I don't even know how somebody can figure this out, because some situations are truly super tricky. So that's why when we're talking about this, I just want to point out that it's not only in a lens of like new RCICs. No, it's, like I've been practicing for 10 years. My husband has been practicing for 5 years. We still have those tough conversations every single day. But we just got lucky that, we're both RCICs. But what if the person doesn't have anyone and they need a second pair of eyes to review the case before submission, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I know you've told me about these like morning coffee chats you have with Corey, like sometimes
Oh
even
gosh.
like to prepare for a consult, right? You have a consult
Yeah.
coming and you're like, I don't really know what to offer, right? But once you talk it through, you're like, oh, okay, there's 3 options for this person coming in. So I was a bit like jealous. I'm like, oh, that's so nice to have just like a casual morning coffee chat before jumping into your day and feeling super confident on what you're going to offer your clients. And I do know people do like coffee chats and, they network. There are RCIC and lawyer groups as well. There's a great one on LinkedIn. There's ones you pay for, there's ones that's free. I have also seen incorrect or just different advice. Sometimes people post a question like, hey, fellow RCICs, here's my question. I've literally seen people like other fellow RCICs answer, and I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Like, what do you mean? Like, I feel like maybe they misunderstood or, whatever it is. Or there'll be 2 RCICs that answer different answers. And so, like, there's just so much to it. It's not necessarily that you're going to get everything you need from just an RCIC group chat kind of thing. Like it's helpful, it's a nice resource, it's a nice tool in the toolkit, but when you really need that like one-on-one conversation back and forth with like someone who specializes, you're not going to get that through a group chat. They're like there is like a background learning tool, but they're not going to really help you get into the nitty gritty. And then even CPDs, I'm like guilty of this. Sometimes I go into a CPD on a certain topic and I'm like, okay, I have a specific question I want them to answer because I have a case in mind, but either they don't get to it, there's too many questions, or it's too specific where they're like, that's so case specific, I can't answer in a CPD. So yeah, you're kind of like out of luck. Sometimes it does feel a little like, where am I going to get this answer?
Yeah, exactly. And again, you started a while ago, myself included, and back in the days we did not have the access to these resources, right? And I wish I had, because there were cases in my practice where I was like very much not sure. And with this being said, I remember like feeling, a feeling of shame and guilt that the person paid you, they trusted you, they're trusting you with their life, and you're responsible for this, and also that you're at this very moment is not the most competent person in the world to handle it. And maybe you are, maybe it's a self-doubt, maybe it's imposter syndrome, but all of the thoughts are rushing through your head and you start self-doubting, right? And so all of that being said, I just want to say that like I'm sure that some RCICs that are reaching out to you, they may feel guilty. They may feel like, oh, I'm just like not good enough. And if I book this session, that means essentially that I'm not good enough to handle this case. So what would you say to that, RC?
Yeah, that's a really good point because you could feel a lot of shame or exactly like you said, like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. I shouldn't do this. I should give up. I should close my practice down. I know I'm sure we both know. I'm sure everyone listening knows of an RCIC that closed down their practice in the last year or two. So yeah, it's a fully safe space. I still ask questions to this day. I have a network of people that I trust and I go to, and sometimes it's just like you know the answer, but you just need to talk it out with someone. And then you come to the conclusion that you had at the beginning. You're like, okay, I knew that was the thing. I just wanted to make sure. Or I've even experienced a client saying something to me in a consultation. And I'm like, what? I'm like, is that the rule? I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not the law, but now I'm
Yeah.
confused. And you just need to talk it out for like 5 minutes and be like, oh, okay. You just need that, like, I know I've heard people call it a sanity check. I think Deandra says sanity check a lot. So
Mhm.
just making sure, like, am I crazy, or like this is right? So yeah, there's no shame to it. And it really, like, you need that experience. Like when I even started doing consultations, I always before, almost always, unless it was very straightforward, had a chat with a coworker being like, here's the initial assessment we got from the client. What do you think? I'm thinking this and this. So it's a muscle you have to learn. You have to work it and flex it until it's strong enough and you can feel confident on your own. There's absolutely no shame in that. We all started from somewhere. And so this is just an offering, a safe space if someone needs that support. And I'm very clear on the things I do specialize in, because yeah, like you, there's programs I've never done. So I'm not going to tell you to book a session with me on certain cases. And I'm like, I don't do that program. So of course not. But there's programs I've done the entire time that I've worked in immigration. So I've seen a lot, and it's just nice to have that opportunity to have a conversation with someone.
Yeah, for sure. So tell me, how does usually your session go? So give me like some maybe examples, what people can use the session with you for, like how long it is. I saw your Calendly page, but I didn't actually check how long it is. And what are the different ways RCICs or lawyers can use the session with you?
Yeah. So, I mean, things may change in the future. Right now, it's a 45-minute session. So you book what you need. It is, I won't say the price, because again, that'll change too with time, but you might see it and go, that's really expensive. But they're intended to give you support and learning so that you only need to do it once or twice. Maybe, if you have another complicated case, you come back again. They're supposed to help you take on these cases with confidence and build up your business so that you can bring money into your business. So it's not like, oh my gosh, once a week I need these like very expensive sessions. They're expensive because I will be teaching you how to handle these cases, how I've handled them in the past. And then you're going to be able to take on more and more and more of them. So it's helping you essentially build up your practice to be more profitable and bring more revenue in for yourself. At the moment, they're very new, they're very fresh, so it's very flexible. But some ideas is express entry versus P&P. Sometimes you get a client, they qualify for both. And it's like, okay, but what's the timeline? What's the cost? What's the pros and cons? In BC in particular, there's express entry versions of the P&P and non-express entry versions. But sometimes you have to wait to qualify for the express entry version, and then ends up being just as long as the non-express entry version. And so it's like actually digging into and like almost like playing it out as a timeline. It's even gone into like express entry profile creations. If you've never made an express entry profile, some of the questions are super random, right? Like the spouse work history. People go, okay, I'll put the whole like 10-year spouse work history. But we know.
I'm sorry, but every single time we
Mhm.
get transferred profile from another RCIC's rep account to ours, we're like, why? Why did you put his job from 2002 in his work history? Like, why did that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
but
could be
it's
timeline, or
sometimes
like, does it even give points or eligibility? Like the spouse foreign work is doing nothing. Like it does not need to be in the work history. It's just going to prompt letters, and then you're going to freak out that you need all these letters and da da da. And it's like, don't put it in there. Like it doesn't need to be in there. So I've seen like English test results inputted incorrectly. Like instead of the reading score, they put the writing and they flipped it, and that can change your ultimate CRS
we
score.
had that profile just last month's profile transferred for another representative. She unfortunately, and I don't know that RCAC, maybe it was like it's probably a typo, I want to say, but they inputted incorrectly his French score, got an invitation to apply, and then of course he couldn't use that invitation to apply because his French score was inputted incorrectly. So all this time, client was under impression that he is eligible under X, and then he got ITA, couldn't proceed with it, right? And those things, I guess they are like fairly simple, but still there are some processes that you could establish to make sure that even typos don't happen, right? So I'm sure you do it the same way. For example, we always have a process of we first calculate the score on CRS calculator, then fill out the profile, and then make sure that it matches exactly. And we save the calculation in the folder, and then then the obviously the profile goes in the IRCC. And those things, like of course sometimes can be tricky, but other than that, like let's say express entry profiles, what if I post ATA, post express entry, post invitation to apply for express entry, can it come for like I get document check or something like that?
Yes, absolutely. So again, right now it's incredibly flexible because everyone's, practicing in a different way. I actually offer in my immigration practice express entry reviews post ITA before submission. So I review the application and full documents, and I have a history of submitting express entry applications. So it's something I'm so familiar with. And so if you're not familiar with it, and you're just going off of like the R10 express entry, which has like, a few sentences per document, you might not know, little nuances, or what if you don't have it? Can you do an alternate document? So we can look at that as well. So yeah, it's incredibly flexible. And again, there is a high price tag with it because it's very valuable, right? If you have a complicated case where someone's work experience is maybe borderline or something like that, or I've done like a self-employed Canadian work experience for like a contractor where we had to prove the like CRA guideline of employer versus contractor kind of thing. You want to put in a lot of documentation. It can be successful, but you got to put in the work. Once you know that though, you don't have to come back to me. I've taught you everything I know. You submit it, it's successful, and then you're like, amazing, I can take on these files. Then you could
Yeah, now I
take
know
this
how
and
to
market
file.
it.
Yeah, I know how to file self-employed CC, right? And you can
Yeah.
market it, and as you said.
Yeah, then you can be like, let me integrate this into my marketing. Because, like you said, everything works well when you are really good at what you market and you get the exact files that you market and everything. So you can then interlace it into your business model that already exists so that you're feeling good. Because often when we submit something and it's a bit unique or nuanced, or it's just something where we're like, oh, yeah, this was complex, and we submit it and we get an approval, all of a sudden we get this like confidence boost of like, I really liked that. And I think I'm good at it. I'm going to tell the world that I'm good at it and then get more clients just like that.
Exactly. Yeah. So I guess the encouragement here is to really think about it business wise, not as a one time session that pertains to this one particular client, but actually to think about it in a point of investment. You're investing this strategically to the case type that you probably want to niche down in, want to dive into. And that investment is going to quadruple and pay off 10 times more in the future years because you just totally unlocked the whole knowledge base, right, to how to file this type of cases. Now it's funny that you mentioned express entry like CC self-employed work, because I recently was working with a couple of RCICs on express entry cases, and the way that they were like combining documents together, or even like what documents they were putting together, it's not like it was wrong, but it was, well, a little bit, it was not really according to like how we do it. And then I was trying to, because I've been doing it for so long that I don't even know what's written on the official website anymore, because it's literally like, it's just like, that's how education documents look like. This is how employment documents look like. And like, we've just been doing it for a while. So I'm just used to this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, but how come they do it differently? And then I started going on the IRCC website and I'm like, oh, it actually doesn't say any of that. And I'm like, how is this person supposed to even know how to do things properly the way that they're going to be approved if the information a lot of times is just not there? Like there are little things about like what you include in education, even let's say translations of like police certificate, the fact that you have to include original of the police certificate, all these like little things, a lot of times they're not even mentioned anywhere, when in fact I just know them because I know maybe like 9 years ago I had IRCC telling me that or something like that, right? So
Mhm.
sometimes we just don't think about this stuff, but definitely I think it's to think about it more as an investment into like strategically into the case type that you're planning to really niche down into.
Yes, absolutely. That's such a good point. I mean, we buy a bunch of stuff for our business, right? Maybe we upgrade our computer, maybe we buy a light or a microphone to do videos. So it's like a piece of knowledge essentially for your business to invest into it to then grow your business. It's not a one-time thing that will only be helpful once. they're valuable because it will continue to help you. And if you are an RCIC or a lawyer who's like, yeah, I want to keep building my business, or I feel kind of stuck where I am, or I'm not getting the clients, this is an investment in you as a professional and then your business to grow as well. So that is what they're for, and a great way to view it, to see it through that lens, that it's investing in yourself, and you are valuable, so you are worth investing in.
For sure. And I'm very like super practical person. So I know that like I remember one specific CPD that I attended and it was a great CPD. But what it was about like submission letters and the complicated express entry files. And my point was that like I'm very practical. So I was asking like, but can you show me the submission letter? Like, I want to know because it's almost like imposter syndrome. I'm like, I feel like very self conscious. Like, when I write a submission letter, is like, is it everybody does it this way? Or am I sounding too silly? Or am I sounding too, like, I just want to know how other people do it and what submission letters look like and how to like literally formulate them. And sometimes it's just, like, yeah, I understand in CPD, they're saying like all the theory behind it, like it should
Yes.
be this and that, like this is how things work, and this is the law, and this is the reference point, and this is the case law, right? That you should, but I'm like, but can I just know the exact words?
Yeah, yeah, I'm like, I literally need to see it. It's so funny. I did have an RCIC send me their cover letter, their submission letter for an application. They're like, "How's this look?" It was their first one ever. So,
Oh, nice.
so yeah, that's that's exactly what I do. And I think little like cover letters too. So there's like the submission letter, but I like to think of other little explanation letters or cover letters, or even like a table of contents. I'll sometimes do for like when there's a huge PDF. There's case law recently where the judge stated you cannot expect the officer to be a detective, essentially. You can't just like give them random screenshots and receipts and things and be like, they'll figure it out. Like they'll know what I'm saying here. And it's like, no, no, no. You need to like give a cover letter. I always do like a table of contents if it's really big too, like page 3 to 16, I'm giving pay stubs. Page 18 to 21, I'm giving tax documents. And why am I doing that? So making things as easy as possible for the officer. Like you said, it's not written anywhere on the IRCC website, but we just know from constantly doing files and always wanting to improve a little bit with each file as well. We've now gotten to that kind of like God tier standard of like, this is what we do and it works. And we know the officer likes it and appreciates it. So yeah, there is no like guideline sometimes to these things.
Yeah,
And I
like
see
nobody
it
will
with,
tell you, like, do
clients
the
too.
table of contents, right?
Yeah.
But you just know that if the PDF file includes 200 pages, that it's maybe a good idea. Or even worse is that, like, I'm sure we all had those scenarios when we got a either refusal or request letter just simply because officer couldn't find that document, and it's there, but they couldn't find it. And like then next time you're like, okay, team, this is how we do things now because this happened and that was unfortunate, right? So like learning on those mistakes and learning on those things and advancing that. So I feel like it's almost a shortcut for a lot of RCACs who are getting into cases. And again, not only new ones, but RCACs who maybe didn't practice with, express entries or other case types that you handle before, and they want to get into these case types. It's almost like a shortcut when in a short period of time, okay, like tell me your 10-year knowledge here, and you just, get to soak it all in.
Yeah, that's a good point because yeah, a lot of it is you learn by experience. I mean, I think too what frustrates me sometimes to see RCICs or I don't know. It's more like clients come to you after they've seen another RCIC and they tell you these things and I'm like, "What?" Like you kind of mentioned you've been getting this flow of them where they're like, "Oh, this other RCI said this was fine," right? And they show me the document and it's like bare bones and I'm like, yeah, it could be fine. Like me, and I'm thinking now maybe this RCIC submitted a study permit or spousal and it was like bare bones and it got approved. And in their head, they're like, oh, that's how you do it. But you could submit that and get a refusal, right? And then it's like, okay, what did I do wrong? Could I go above and beyond? I've seen files which are like above and beyond and still get the refusal. So
Refused.
it's very nuanced. It's not like you crack it and you're like, this is it. I'll never have to improve or change. It's like, it's so specific to the file. Some are you want to be a little bit more tailored, like express entry. You want to just give them what they're asking for. And then like spousal, there is a bit of an element of going above and beyond. Like I don't like to do a bare bones you got the check marks, that's it. I always go above and beyond the document checklist for spousals. So it's just things you learn from practice. It's not anyone on the website. And I haven't done the most recent. I mean, I did my education a long time ago, but I don't think you really get it from the education a little bit. Maybe little tidbits or tips you get from the professors. We know Lori Paris, and I'm like, I'm sure she's a phenomenal professor at
Yeah.
Queen's because she's just so knowledgeable and she like is very generous and gives everything. But yeah, there's things that you can only learn from practice and actually submitting applications.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, thank you so much. So tell me how RCICs can find you.
So, good question. Right now, it's just on LinkedIn since there's all other RCCs and lawyers professional network. So, I'll be posting on there. I have some posts already talking about it. There is a private link there. And for the most part, people who have reached out have reached out through LinkedIn DMs asking questions and seeing if it's a right fit for them. So, LinkedIn is the best way. And there is a public link. We'll see. Again, I won't talk too much on like the nitty gritty of it because I'm sure it will evolve. But right now, LinkedIn is where I'm posting about it and where you can connect with me.
Yeah, that's perfect. So yeah, you guys can just send a message to Barbara, and I think it's just great that you're doing this because this way we can help so many more immigrants by helping RCICs, right? And making sure that RCICs are getting access to actual knowledge that they need to do good work. Because I think maybe we sounded a little bit too strong about some RCACs making mistakes, right? But I really feel like everybody wants to succeed in what they're doing, right? Everybody wants their cases to be approved. Everyone wants their job to be great and above and beyond. It's just sometimes we literally don't know where to get that support, how to get that support, and that is even available, right? And I think for everyone who's listening now, if you feel like at any given point, like you just need to chat with someone, just message Barbara on LinkedIn and you can chat with her and see where it gets you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you so
absolutely. Very
much.
excited to meet more people. And yeah, do not feel bad. I know, now that I think about it, I was like, oh yeah, this RCIC. But it just goes to show that like we all make mistakes. I've made mistakes too, right? So that's how we learn. We're not going to be perfect. And it really is for you. And you made a good point that we don't become an RCIC or get into immigration law to be like, how do I do like the bare minimum and just like kind of get by? We obviously want to be like really good at what we do. We want to help people. And we also want to have a really wonderful business that supports our lifestyle. So this is just another tool in the toolkit that people can
Yeah.
use to reach that goal.
Yes, exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Barbara. Thank you
Thanks,
for coming.
Olena. Bye, everyone.
Bye.